Hello everyone! How is everyone doing? I hope that you are all having a very good night. Tonight we are going to do just a simple talk stream. I will be reading through a couple of articles that I've kind of wanted to talk about, but have not particularly wanted to do videos about for whatever specific reason. And if there's any topics that you guys want me to talk about, of course, I can also do that. So I do have a couple, and one of them is the Gears of War, Censorship. Another one is Alinity, which I usually don't talk about other kind of content creators, but I wanted to talk about that situation because it does involve, like, high-level gameplay. It does involve a tournament, so I thought that we could talk about that a little bit as well, but if there's any topics you guys have, that you want me to talk about, just let me know. But, yeah, I hope everyone is doing well. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was Gears of War 5 and them banning all instances of in-game smoking, which I think is pretty ridiculous for a game that shows so much kind of it's violence and gore. Like, it's a game that has so much violence and gore, and that is really what you're worried about showing, is in-game smoking. Now, the article that I, found and that I kind of wanted to reference was the one from Niche Gamer. There's been a couple at this point. This was from like 2 or 3 days ago. But I talk a lot about censorship, so I thought it was okay to talk about. I thought you guys might be interested in it. It starts off with Gears 5, the latest in Microsoft's third-person shooter featuring extreme violence, is banning all depictions of smoking in the latest game for the franchise. I was shocked when they said this. Now, I'm not completely surprised because companies have been, censoring kind of instances of smoking, and even Netflix did this. I don't know if you all heard about this, but when the Stranger Things season 3 had just launched, it was actually said after it launched, like a day or two after it launched, that they had toned down the kind of the depiction of smoking. Because it's based, in the 80s, and I mean, even people now still smoke, but they just threw it heavily into the theme of the show, and Netflix actually said, we made sure that they toned down the depictions of smoking for the show. And the reason that they used that excuse was because the show was aimed towards a teenage audience, which I thought was kind of interesting. They said it's geared towards a younger audience, so that was their excuse. But anyway, now, a couple of days after that, we're seeing Gears 5 kind of say that they're banning all instances of in-game smoking. It says the news comes via a new statement from developer The Coalition when non-profit anti-smoking organization Truth Initiative approached Turner, an esports league and American television show who have broadcasting rights to the game. Turner worked with Microsoft and the Coalition to remove all instances of smoking within the game. And it's not even toning down the amount of smoking that's in the game. They are completely saying, or from their statement, that all instances of smoking have been removed. They're going so heavy on the non-smoking thing. They removed it all. He said, I've seen firsthand the devastating impact of smoking. It's always been very important for me to not use smoking as a narrative device, which is why we made the conscious choice to avoid highlighting or glorifying smoking in Gears 5 and throughout the Gears of War universe moving forward. That was the head of the Coalition. It's a fictional video game. It's a video game. People in real life smoke. I do understand, and I'll say it, smoking is very bad. It's not good for you, but adults can make that decision for themselves, and I talk about this all the time. Why are you censoring something that is made for an adult audience? And that is what this video game is. I mean, Gears of War 5 has an adult rating. It has an M for mature rating. Why are you worried kind of about censoring something for adults. Now I've talked about this, you know, a lot of times when it comes to you know, like anime games and visual novels and things like that, you know, coming to the West and them being censored by Sony and everything. I just, my gosh. Yes, smoking has devastating impacts, obviously, but this is a video game. It's a game. That is, so they're saying that, or basically, that people could end up smoking because they're seeing smoking in a video game, because it's being glorified, it's being said as it's cool. That's kind of the same argument that's saying violent video games make people violent, which has been proven time and time again to not be true. They should remove tattoos too, it turns children into gang members. I mean, that's kind of the same line of excuses that they're going for in a sense. Violence good, smoking and sexuality bad. Exactly, that's kind of the narrative that they're trying to throw out here. And I do understand that it's bad. If this game was maybe, you know, maybe aimed towards a younger audience, I would understand toning it down a little bit more when you have to take into consideration the audience that they're presenting this product to. But it is a game that has an adult audience base. It is aimed towards adults, not children. And I kind of understand that with Stranger Things as well, you know, because they do know that a lot of the viewership is younger. It's, 13 and up, I believe, so PG-13 and up, or whatever the TV equivalent is. So I do kind of understand that a little bit more, but you're... But even in Stranger Things, it's so unrealistic. There's no such thing as an upside down. There's no such thing as a demigorgon. There's none of these things. The only realistic things in Stranger Things is the year in D&D. I think it's funny that the companies are kind of doing this more. He continues on with, this took a lot of time and a lot of good thinking. I bet this took a lot of time. You are telling people that are creating a piece of art, a game, that you cannot put this in specifically your game. That is the most foolish thing that I hear. Whenever I kind of talk about instances like this, I think it is so awful. This is the one thing that pisses me off, is that you are telling a creator of something that they can and cannot put something in their game. This is a game marketed towards adults. I don't think I need to say that again. Are you guys adults here? Please. This is a pay-to-win 18-year-old only chat, okay? Like, you can't be part of this conversation if you're not. I mean, come on. It's a joke, right? They continue with saying, it's the right image for E-League in the game itself to project. That, to me, sounds like they forced them to kind of censor this game for the esports version of it. And they even did say the other day, this was said 2 or 3 days ago, that they're making it an esport, but they're not making it a traditional esport, which is also kind of interesting. That they're specifically telling them you can and can't have X, Y, and Z in your game because it's an esport. I kind of talked about this the other day with the situation of, you know, a CD Projekt Red and the censorship of a couple of cards in their game Gwent. Because that is kind of a digital card game, and they want to market it more towards not only, you know, like a teenage age rating, but also because they want to market it towards esport, they did tone down a couple of cards. And Blizzard did this with Hearthstone as well, probably because it's an esport first of all, but also because of China. The esport scene is so sensitive. I'm just going to say it. It's so sensitive, I feel like. Or these companies are treating the esports scene as very sensitive, saying you can't have this imagery on your cards in your video game. Because why? Why? Because they're saying in this case it's smoking, and it's because smoking has devastating impacts on people. Yes, it does, but so does chainsawing someone in half. That's like saying, oh no, chainsawing someone in half, that's perfectly fine. But chainsawing someone in half is much worse than smoking, right? What's your opinion on that? Like, seriously. I feel like they're trying to treat the esports scene as such a how do I say it? A sensitive zone. People in that community, or any communities in the esports genre, sort of, are so sensitive to these things. They don't want the Chinese to see smoking. I mean, we also have that as an excuse. You know, China is such a huge, pretty untapped market at this point. You know, that's why a lot of companies like Blizzard inevitably are willing to censor small parts of their game or their product, because they want to tap into that sweet Chinese market. And in a way, I do understand why. Because it opens up so much wider of a consumer base, and it opens up so many more potential sales. I do completely understand that. I'm not saying that I don't. I completely do. They're a company. They need to keep business flowing, and that is just the next step in the right direction for them. But they still have to consider, you know, their rules in China, you know, when it comes to depictions in video games and many things, are completely different from ours. There are some people that believe that when things are changed in China, it does not directly affect us in the United States or in the West or anywhere even that is not China, and that is not true. What we see with versions like Hearthstone and Blizzard, you know, them censoring specific cards, those versions are censored for us too. Those versions are not just censored in China or the markets that want them censored. They could easily put that censored version in the Chinese regions or whatever regions, you know, they want them, or that follows along with their regulations and guidelines, but they make us deal with the same exact situations and the same exact visuals and everything, because they do not want to have the different versions of cards, and that just makes it so their policies and their politics and what they allow and what they do not allow is slipping into our world and our culture, in a sense. It's unfortunate. They need to get rid of the SJW stuff if they want to sell to China. There are many things that over the years kind of have been changed, specifically for going to China. I mean, even years ago when it was still a very untapped market and they didn't even have their toes dipped into the Chinese market yet, or markets that require more censorship and more, you know, stricter guidelines. We didn't even realize back then why it was happening, but it's gotten so prominent, we're realizing why now. Why is this 18 only? Yeah, check your age at the door, you guys. Because, it's just what we were talking about. It's a joke. Hello, Kevin. How you doing? I hope you're having a good night. Hello, everyone that has popped in within the last couple of minutes in this rant. I hope you are all doing very well. Thank you for stopping by. We do have a couple of topics to talk about tonight. China is very different from, you know, I don't know where everyone here is from, but compared to the United States, their rules and regulations are very different for us, of course, than ours, I should say. It just continues on, the article says, it's worth pointing out that the game still retains all of its visceral combat, shooting, and violence, retaining its M rating for audiences ages 17 and older here in the United States for blood and gore, strong language, and intense violence. It's a rated M for mature game. Only adults can play this game. I understand in real life, in a real situation, smoking is bad for you. But anyone that is here, anyone that would even play or touch Gears of War 5 is obviously an adult, and they can obviously make these decisions for themselves. They do not need people telling them what they can and cannot play, what they can and cannot look at, what this content can and cannot contain. And that's the part that makes me the most angry kind of in the situation is, these companies telling their studios and the studios that are making these games, well, you have to censor and change X, Y, and Z for this game to be launched. And that's what they did in this situation. They told them, you need to remove all instances of smoking. And every other Gears of War game has depicted things like smoking. I think that there's worse issues in these games than smoking. You can cut people in half. You can shoot people. There's blood, there's violence, there's gore, there's smoking, there's sexual, it's just the fact that, there's so much worse in this game. Why are we so worried about something like smoking? Now, I don't know, ultimately, I will say it, I do not know if this is because of a Chinese move. I do not know, but there are video games in China that do depict smoking. It's not like that is a specific regulation of theirs, I believe. So I don't know at this point. It sounds like it was because this anti-smoking organization, Truth Initiative, it sounds like because Truth Initiative approached the developer, the coalition, and said, we'll give you a nice chunk of change if you'll help us out a little bit. You know what? Just remove these couple of things, these couple of smoking instances, and we will pay you a nice chunk of change. And I even talked about a kind of similar situation today, not really, but developers. I talked today in a video about Epic, a developer saying they only went to Epic exclusivity because it was a nice chunk of change. It was a lot of money, and that's why they did it. They ultimately didn't do it because they believed in the platform or because they believed in what it could turn out to be or how consumers feel about it. It was only for the chunk of change. And in this case, that's exactly what it sounds like. You guys in the chat will have to let me know your thoughts on this, but I would say or at least how it sounds right now, is that this, anti-smoking organization, Truth Initiative, just said, we will give you this nice chunk of change if you force your creators to censor the smoking, get rid of it, and do not have any depictions of it in the game, which is awful in my opinion. I don't believe any artists, especially in a game that has worse than this, should be told, oh, I know that you just put a lot of work into your game, like, I know you just put so much work in, but, you've got to change it now. Because who knows at what point in the development process they told them they could not have depictions of smoking. They could have already done 90% of their work and then went back and said, every depiction of smoking, you have to change. We do not know because we really don't know where Gears of War 5 is in development, or when they made this agreement, the point in time and how far along that development, was, how far along that was. So who really knows? Gear 7 will have no gears or guns. Exactly. I mean, at this point in time, how much censorship can happen in a game before it's not even the same game? I'm curious. You guys have to tell me. At what point in time is a game not part of the same franchise? This is kind of what I said way back when, Dead or Alive was going on. Dead or Alive 6 was coming out, and everyone was talking about that because they had changed so many costumes, and they had censored a lot of things and changed a lot of things. A lot of people were saying it's not even the same game anymore. They should just rename it, call it something slightly different, and leave it at that. It's kind of the same situation with Mortal Kombat as well. Mortal Kombat 11 the female characters were changed so much, and even some of the fatalities were censored. At what point, why do they not just rename it, change things, you could still have the same characters, just have it be more of a spin-off. If you're going to censor things and change things, at what point is it still the same franchise besides the same characters? I do understand it's ultimately because it's the Mortal Kombat or the Dead or Alive name, and people will buy their favorite franchise just because it's their favorite franchise. But at what point is it still the same franchise? With Dead or Alive, they wobbled and didn't censor it. They did end up censoring some of it, and the PlayStation 4 is missing, is it the PlayStation 4? Yeah, I think it's the PlayStation 4 version is missing specific costumes, that they did leave out of that version. So the PlayStation 4 version does have missing content, because censorship. Mortal Kombat 11? I thought that was such a bad situation. I'm gonna be honest, because I've said this, and I said this back when I talked about Mortal Kombat 11, I was so excited for that game. I was so excited for kind of the old school versus new school meeting. I love any game, and any even movie that kind of brings that concept in the old meeting the new type of thing. Oh, my webpage just refreshed for some reason. I love that, and I was so excited for it, and I ultimately did not purchase it, and I still do not own it to this day, because it's not $10 in a bargain bin yet. Not quite yet. I will buy it eventually here. I have watched the storyline and everything for it. What the hell did they do to Cassie Cage's face in Mortal Kombat 11? They did change it a little bit. They did fix it a tiny bit, but it looked freaking awful. Also, hello, Grizz. How are you doing? I hope that you are having a fantastic night. Hope everyone that is here is having a fantastic night. Shimbori got sacked for that. Well, the thing with, Yohei Shimbori, when, the Dead or Alive stuff was going on, is that he kept going back and forth. It was back and forth, back and forth. He could not decide if it was protection for the females, if it was trying to please different audiences, or if they were not going to censor anything. He could not decide which side he was on, and that ultimately killed Dead or Alive 6 for me. I've played it plenty of times because it went free to play a month and a half after release on Steam. So I play it now. It's fun. I do like it. I am doing 7. Sounds fantastic, Riz. Hopefully they stick to their guns on Doom Eternal. I think with Doom Eternal, I think it looks fine so far. We really don't have too much news on it, but obviously the gameplay that we've seen, it looks perfectly fine. Obviously Bethesda, I mean, obviously there are companies that are more censorship heavy, but there are ones that are not. Looking kind of at the track records of games, there are specific companies that do not like to censor games a ton. I mean, look at CD Projekt Red. The only thing they've censored in recent times was Gwent, and that was probably because they wanted to remain having the obtained T for teen rating on the game. But who really knows? Did NetherRealms ever address that $20 million loot box thing? I don't know about a $20 million loot box, friend. I don't know about that. Shiva looks so awful. Shiva does look really awful. I think overall, most of the females look awful in Dead or Alive. It's not even, Dead or Alive, in Mortal Kombat, sorry. It's not even, for me, their outfits, per se, in the situation of Mortal Kombat. Their character models are so bad and look so awful. I think that if their character models looked better, I would be more inclined to play it now that, I could buy it used. I don't have to buy it directly, off a store shelf and, from Best Buy or, GameStop or Walmart. But there's still the fact that I don't want to support a game like that. I will buy it when I know that no one's making money off of it. If there's another Dead or Alive game, they need to focus on the fans, not the journalists. That is also, another thing that companies have been doing, is they are trying to get as much good press as they can. They are willing to, say things that they end up saying they do not mean, that they only said at the time because they wanted the good press and the good journalism. And that sucks, that companies are so afraid of bad press at this point, in not pleasing journalists, that they are so afraid to create what they want to create. They need to feel confident in what they created. They created a game that they are confident in. Do not tell journalists one thing, tell fans and consumers another, and then do a completely opposite thing. That's fucking stupid, and they should stop doing that. Because it makes fans not trust the companies, the developers. It makes people not trust that. DOA means dead on arrival, am I right, guys? You are right, friend. You definitely are right. I mean, it went free to play in, a month and a half after release? I mean, come on, guys. Come on. That's pretty fast. I mean, what was the game after that did that? Oh, God. What game was it that went... It was, right after Dead or Alive. It went free to play really soon after. I don't remember what game it was. You don't need to tell me. I own the game. Poor Caesar. Mainstream journalists are irrelevant. It's the fact that, if you can get people to interview you and really talk about, your game or your projects, it does give you more, it does give you more, what is it, it makes people more interested in your game because, oh wow, these journalists are talking about it. I've seen this everywhere. It's not the fact of one or two journalists, it's the fact of if you have, say, 10 websites writing an article about you within, say, a week span, so many people are seeing article after article or video after video, so much press after press, then they go, wow, everyone is talking about this. I am so going to check this out now because there's so much going on. It sucks. It sucks that companies have to feel so... They beat around the bush with what they're saying. They have no confidence in what they're saying. And in a way, I do not blame Yohei Shimbori and the things that he was saying around Dead or Alive, because he was doing the same thing. Now, there was some translation issues, which, I completely understand. But I understand why Yohei Shimbori was so, back and forth with his statements, because he wanted his game to be talked about by as many sources as possible, but at the same time, he really didn't want fans to think that he was gypping them, even though he was kind of fucking gypping them. Get Woke, Go Broke doesn't always work. I'm playing Borderlands 2. The script seems wokey, at least bits here and there. I guess it just never overflowed into controversy. I mean, Borderlands 2 was how many years ago? How many years ago was Borderlands 2? 2012. So, was, a lot of this stuff was starting to be touched on around them, but, heavy censorship was not as prominent as it has been in the past 2 years. Even Sony's heavy censorship has only been in the past, 2, maybe 3 years at very, very most, behind the scenes, because they were creating new games. So you do have to consider that. Now, they did release that new DLC for Borderlands 2 a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 months ago actually at this point, which was new content, so that could be a bit more, woke or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, arse. You do need to consider that, it was 2012 and censorship was not as heavy back then as it is now. Borderlands 2 is 2012? Yes, Borderlands 2 is 2012. 7 years. It'll be 8 years when actually, yeah, it'll be 7 years when it comes out. So when Borderlands 3 comes out, I should say. So you do have to consider that as well. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was, okay, you guys know I usually do not talk about other content creators, anyone else that creates content online, but I did want to kind of talk about this a little bit because I just did. I have some thoughts about it. Now, if you did not hear, Alinity, I think a lot of us know who Alinity is. She is a larger streamer on Twitch. She's the Can We Copy Strike PewDiePie girl. She was cheating, stream sniping in an Apex Legends tournament, and everyone played it off as a joke, probably because she's a girl. That's what I want to talk about. So they were at, so she was at a Apex Legends Twitch Prime Crown Tournament, Crown Cup, on July 13th, and decided to lean her head over and peek at her opponent's screen at the very, very end of the match to try to get an advantage. And it wasn't even that she did that. It wasn't even, she glanced over and chuckled at it, and they each chuckled at it. She was legit screaming out to the rest of her team and the people that she was kind of with. She was saying out loud where he was, what she saw on the screen, where the teammates were. I think yeah, I mean, that, ultimately is kind of what I wanted to talk about. Dude, I hate that chick with every fiber of my being. I mean, she's not bad at what she does. She is not bad, video games and, just streaming in general. She's not bad at it. But the thing is what she did. It's really tricky to talk about. So it continues on with, it was played off as a gag by the other streamer that she looked at, Tim, jokingly. He was getting riled up. He's like, oh, security should come in, like she should be kicked out and everything. And it was played off as a joke, but you could genuinely tell that he was angry. He was frustrated because she was legitimately yelling out all of the details to all of their teammates. And this is why I wanted to talk about this article, is right here. It says, in the end, it can be chalked up as a successful tournament as it brought in a consistent 100,000 plus viewers and gave Apex Legends a lot of publicity. Apex Legends, that game that's literally done awful, because it lost all of its fucking publicity and no one's playing it anymore. But this is the part. The tournament also highlighted the fact that exclusive loot is available, yada yada. It's the fact that they do, right here, they play it off as it is a joke. They do not even care. If this was anyone else, if this was a male player, maybe even another female player that was not so popular, this wouldn't be seen as a joke. This was at a professional event. This was at a Twitch Prime Apex Legends tournament. This was a large event. It was played off as a gag. They were laughing at it, but you could tell Tim, the person that she had screen peeked, was very frustrated. You could tell. This article says this was all in good fun, and it didn't end up working out for her as she was quickly dispatched. Yeah, because she moved across the map because the person that she stream sniped, that she was screen sniping, was pissed. If this was a male, I'm just going to say, if this was a male, or even someone of lesser popularity, or maybe not as large of a content creator, she would have gotten banned from these tournaments for cheating. They would have gotten in so much trouble, and that's the thing. We see people banned from tournaments all of the time because they're cheating. This is cheating. Why do they not say this is cheating? This whole article, this is from Dextero.com. I don't really, watch them at all. But I don't really read them at all, but they don't once say it's cheating. This was at a professional event. She's cheating. Just admit it. I'm going to say it because I feel the same way. Because I'm a girl. If I was caught cheating in a tournament, I do not play Apex Legends. If I was caught cheating at a tournament that I was getting paid for, most likely to be there, I would want to be called out. I would, if I was cheating, if I was doing anything, I would want to be called out. I would want someone to say, you're cheating, you're disqualified, because that is what I would deserve. I do not think that she deserves an easy pass because she's a girl. You know? And I'm not judging her over, you know, what she does with her career on Twitch, if she uploads YouTube videos. I don't care about that. Honestly, that is not something that I care about. You know what? She is a content creator. That's perfectly fine. I do not care anything about any of that besides this one instance that I think that it is silly that people are just saying it's not cheating because why? They do not give you a reason. Because she's a girl. Let's be honest. She was not called out in any mainstream articles because she's a girl. I'm sorry. I do not agree with that. I think that she should have been pushed out of the tournament, disqualified. If you are going to cheat, there are people that deserve to be there that would happily take your place. Twitch has to protect that, source of income. No. You know, besides what she does on her stream, you know, in this case, she should have been disqualified. And I don't think that she won the tournament. I didn't hear about that, or I'm sure more people would be talking about this, but it's still the fact that she did it in a large tournament. What if this happened at a League of Legends tournament? They would be disqualified. That is the thing, is even in Apex Legends, in any large professional tournament, most people would be disqualified. And they would be forced out of the tournament. But not her. Because she's a larger content creator and she's a girl. That's all that I really wanted to talk about with that one. I just wanted to kind of point out that, people do not use the word cheater very often, when it comes to a case like this, when it's a girl. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about that, besides when I said, I've gotten death threats in League of Legends for less. I mean, moving on. I mean, I said what I want to say. I don't want to sit here and rack on it because she's just another content creator, you know? It was at one event. It's not like she's a track record of doing it, but I still think that she should have been disqualified. Also, guys, everyone that is here hanging out, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. If you have any topics that you would like me to discuss, let me know, and I can talk about them. We already talked about that. Hold on, give me 1 second. If this happens at a League of Legends or StarCraft tournament, they would be banned for life. Well, exactly, at any sort of larger, event, no matter what game it is really, any cheaters are instantly banned, or they get suspended. And, if this didn't happen because, she's a girl. It's just, it's shitty. I did want to talk about something I have to find really quickly. So give me approximately 2 seconds. What is this? Oh yeah, did you guys hear about that? Mass Effect Andromeda's animation studio reportedly helped with Halo Infinite. Oh god. We don't want to hear about that. That's so awful. Whew, Andromeda was such a flop. Andromeda was such a freaking flop. this was something that I wanted to talk about. There's two things from One Angry Gamer that I wanted to talk about. This is one of them. This is a little bit of censorship too. Alright, we're just going to get into it. Just so you guys know, I do not use archives for websites that I do support. I just let the ads kind of flow, so I'm sorry that the ads are, popping up everywhere, but I usually just leave the ads on for websites that I do appreciate and I do support. Crash Team Racing skins renamed following complaints from Reset Era. Oh god, Reset Era, practically, in case you guys don't know, is, where everyone, goes to complain. Vera Sneak Peek, I will be addressing card quality on stream tomorrow night. Frank actually told me, really quickly before we get into this topic, Frank actually told me that the card quality is super good now. Tony, I actually will be reading one of your articles in a few minutes. Because I want to talk about the topic. That was the article that I was trying to find. I wasted money when I bought Andromeda. I've played it. I do not hate it. Also, there's butts on screen. The character models were trash. Anyway, Andromeda. We don't need to talk about that, guys. Ooh. Crash Team Racing skins renamed following complaints from Reset Era. Beanox recently updated Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel changes, changing some of the names of skins because Reset Era people were complaining about the names being racist. Okay, I'm just gonna read the whole situation for you guys really quickly. Only July 13th, it was reported that Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled was updated on July 12th. In the update, they noticed that Tana's skin, Watermelon Tana, which featured her being slightly darker with brunette hair instead of blonde hair, was being renamed to Summertime. Instead of Watermelon, it's Summertime. They also noted that White Tana, so now we're going white versus mixed race instead of Watermelon and Summertime, was renamed to White Tiger Tana, along with 2 other skins. And then they changed names of other characters from Black to, from Black Zem to Solar Flare Zem. Seriously? Seriously? Their names! Okay. Guys, make sure to leave a like on the stream if you enjoy. Consider donating and supporting me on Patreon for only $1 a month. Triggered. It continues on with them just practically saying, it's all a pointless exercise in maintaining the outrage to keep the politically correct dial pointed ever so much to the left. If you guys do not know, Reset Era does complain about a lot of things like this. They make situations out of things that were not situations. I am sure that, because I hadn't heard about this before this situation happened with Reset Era, I do not think that many people thought twice about it. I do not think that the general masses were in so much of an uproar that they had to change this because so many people were upset by it. Anyone who actually values gaming would just drop these games altogether and only support indie developers who do not accommodate the degenerate demographics that involve liberals and communists. I'm not going to touch on that, but it is a Billy D article. Either which way, I'm glad I didn't buy Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, and I certainly won't be purchasing it now. I did not purchase it. I was waiting to get it. Not because of this reason, obviously. This is a brand new reason. I usually wait for Crash games to go down a little bit. I do like Crash games, do not get me wrong, but Crash racing games, I'm not good at. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not a fan of them, so I don't try. I feel like this is such a non-issue. They literally lightened her, I don't even want to call it skin, her fur color, her hair color. and change the name. I think that that is ridiculous. Really? That is what people are worried about? There are so many more important things to worry about rather than this. I don't know. I feel like there's, in the world of gaming, we have companies doing awful things, making awful business choices, doing, partaking in awful business practices. And this is really what we are worried about? Really? This? Ooh, some nice ads there. Yeah, I do not, I said this when I started this article, I do not, do archive links for, websites that I usually support, and One Angry Gamer is one of those websites that I do support, so I usually, leave ads on. You know, they have some, ha ha ha, look, look, that's so funny! How ironic is that? No, don't touch the butt. Look at how ironic that is. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is popping up as an ad in an article where Billy Shirley says he won't be buying it. Oh, that's ironic. Butt mouse pad. I need one of those. Yeah. Inappropriate, censored. 18 and up only. 18 and up only chat, guys. Please. Oh, 18 and up only. Overall, I just feel like this is such a I don't know, such a not issue. I feel like so many people were not upset by this. I feel like before this, article came out and before people started talking about it because of what Reset Era had happened, I feel like it was a non-issue. How you doing, Grizz? I hope that you're doing good. I think I already asked you that, but I'll ask again. Yes, Farrah, touch the butt! I did accidentally touch the butt. Damn it, I touched the butt! Damn it, I'm so sorry. Reset Era has been the cause of some censorship in the past. Reset Era's complaining, actually got parts of Catherine changed, if you guys did not know that, Catherine Full Body. Parts of that game were changed because of, multiple, organizations like that, but, Reset Era was one of the many, that caused a problem with it. Why? Why do this? Why do this? I just don't get it. Anyway, let's continue on to the next one. I just wanted to show you guys that because I did not talk about that, but that is still a, an issue that we have to keep in mind is just, the turbo graph. We should talk about that, baby. That people just, they're willing to complain about everything, even when it's a non-issue. Reset Era and Laura Kate Dale. Yes. Very true. This is an article that I wanted to, skim through really quickly. This is actually by Tony. He, is a Dark Titan, and he hangs out in, chat pretty frequently. He's also in Discord. PUBG is banned in Jordan, the hidden truth behind it. Now, their rules there are obviously very, very different. Their rules, their laws, their regulations. The mini turbograph, yeah. The surprise turbo mini. We can talk about that in a few minutes and rant about the PlayStation Classic. But I did want to talk about this a little bit, because I thought that it was interesting and fair enough. It starts off with it has recently been reported that PUBG was banned in the country of Jordan. There's an article up on the website of the Splintering about this very issue, so I will try my best not to just rehash what they said. Yeah, I read the article. It's not similar enough to where, it seems like it's, copy-paste, obviously, but, it's a good article.
Grizzlyman, grizzly, grizzlyman, grizzly, grizzlyman. Grizzlyman, grizz.
I thought it was done. Is it done? Thank you for the $15 donation, Grizzly. I think everyone knows your real name now. I do appreciate the donation. Thank you so much, friend. Everyone that's here, I appreciate the donations. But yeah, I was reading both the articles. I felt like this one was just, it was just as good as the other one. I don't know. I just picked this one. Both the articles and the tweet that I linked cite that the TRC reasoning as negative impacts for players of all generations. That is their excuse? To banning a game is negative impacts for players of all generations? It is another adult-rated game. It is another game rated for adults. Adults can make their own decisions. The article goes on to mention TRC's Director of Beneficiaries Affairs claiming a study that was done due to citizen complaints. They're also, that's another thing, is they're saying that people are complaining so much about this game. We just had to look into it. The complaints, according to TRC, were due to the terrifying spread of menacing video games. The terrifying spread of menacing video games. I thought that adults could make their own decisions on what games that they wanted to play. The citizen complaints saying that this game is terrifying. Spread the menacing video games. I am going to say the same exact thing that I said about Gears of War 5. It is a fictional video game in a fictional setting with fictional characters. It is obviously, yes, depicting something that could happen in real life because it is a war shooter video game and it does have a very realistic style per se. But it is a game that kids cannot play. Only adults can play it, and adults can decide what they can and cannot play. Now, I do understand that this is in a completely different place. This is, somewhere that does have, very strict regulations, and rules for when it comes to games and media and whatnot, and it is very different from, Western culture. The East deals with sexualized, things better, and we deal with violence better. But it's the bland reasoning. It's the non-descriptive reasoning by the government that gets me here. Their reasoning was negative impacts for players of all generations. A younger generation cannot play this game, and if a child is playing this game, they should not be playing this game. This game exists for people of appropriate ages to play. It seems the government has come down with a new case of stupid. Love it. I mean, why would a country surrounded by almost perpetual war be concerned with fictional violence? I mean, there's also kind of that, is that, everything is different there. It almost seems like people from the West are applying their logic and values onto statements by the TRC. You see, the TRC statements quoted do not say one thing about violence. Why? Because Jordan did not get a new case of stupid. They are still suffering from the same kind of stupid they always had for a while. Religion. I'm not going to touch on that. I'm not going to touch on that part. I will be skipping this part of the article. I'm not going to go off of, religion. Their religions there are very, they're different, Everyone has a different religion, and that's perfectly fine. But it just says, one of the last quotes, that was from, a news, article, said that, games such as Fortnite, Apex Legends, and PUBG are all advertised as free to play. However, they provide players with the opportunity to pay real money for in-game cosmetic items, leading many in Saudi Arabia to urge the banning of games as they are seen to encourage gambling. And this has been very talked about for a very long time, is free-to-play games. Do they promote gambling? Because they do have aspects that could be, in a lot of cases, considered gambling. It's been something that's talked about, since loot boxes have become very large. But even before that, I mean, you have to consider MMOs have been around for so long now, and MMOs just, they've always had a form of kind of loot boxes and gambling to them too. I mean, even looking back at World of Warcraft, World of Warcraft had the trading card game mounts, so you had to buy into the trading card game and buy those mounts. You had to continuously buy booster boxes and booster packs of the TCG to get the mount. And if you did not, you would have to buy it directly with real money from someone on a secondary market. Look at some of the mounts now. You have the Spectral Swift Tiger, which is $3,000. You have the Giant Cock in World of Warcraft, which is $1,000. You have mounts. You have that what is that? It's like a spectral skeleton horse or whatever. That is, $800. You have to consider that things like, yeah, giant cock, the giant chicken, okay? You have to consider that all of these things have been around for so long, just in so many different forms. You have to consider that. Loot boxes, you mean surprise mechanics? Yeah, surprise mechanics, you guys. It continues on and ends off with, while I do not agree with a game being banned on religious grounds, I can at least find some solace in the fact that Jordan and other Middle Eastern countries are not trying to force game developers to change games to fit their standards. Yes, Muslim fundamentalists have a bit more self-control than SJWs, so as long as we keep our countries free of crazy religion, zealots, we will be okay. The part there, that I do have to say is that I do kind of in a way agree that, at least they did not force these game developers to change their game. But another question that we do not know is, were they asked to change the game, or did it automatically get banned? Because we see in China, PUBG, obviously, Tencent and everything, that's a slightly another story, but they continuously change what they need to fit into the Chinese regulations because it's an untapped market, but because they're asked to. We do not know in this case if they just automatically banned this game, or if they allowed them the choice to possibly, change it. We do not really know. But I did want to talk about that a little bit, just because it is something to kind of keep an eye on. Another game being banned in another country, like I said, ultimately, they're very different from us. That's kind of that. But I did want to talk about it. It was an article from Tony, and I thought it was a very good article. I dated a girl that bought expensive mounts in World of Warcraft, then go play League of Legends. Damn. I do not own any of the TCG mounts in World of Warcraft, but it would be something that I would consider doing eventually, because, I do quite like mounts. This is something that I wanted to kind of rant about a little bit and talk about, because I don't talk about a lot of this stuff on the channel and videos. The TurboGrafx 16 mini game library was revealed, and it comes out in March 19th, 2020. One thing that I kind of wanted to talk about that I don't know if you all know, but back at the beginning of this year, what was the actual date on it? Hold on one second, I'm going to look up the date. The PlayStation Classic had come out, when was it? In December. It came out in December. It came out right before the holidays, I believe. Oh, this one's by Tony too. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. The PlayStation Classic came out in December. Officially now, you can buy that son of a bitch at Best Buy for $20 freaking dollars. $20. Now, it's all in the realm of mini, so that's why I wanted to talk about that. the problem that I personally felt with was the problem with the PlayStation Classic was there was a handful of games on it that were very, very good. There was Final Fantasy VII, there was Twisted Metal, there was so many games. There was a couple of games. I'll look up the list of games. There were decent games. Final Fantasy VII, Tekken 3, Ridge Racer Type 4, Metal Gear Solid, Jumping Flash, Wild Arms, Battle Arena Toshinden, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, you had Intelligent Cube. Were these? I feel like those two weren't. Were they? No, girl. Is this lying to me? Is this list lying to me? Either way, there was... Okay, all of these ones were. Sorry. I don't know. I thought the list was lying to me. Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil Director's Cut. You had all of these good games. Revelations Persona, Twisted Metal, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. There were a lot of good games on it, but I would say that there was 5 games that were amazing on the Classic, and then there were 15 that were very mediocre, I could have done without, and there were so many games that I felt that they could have added to it. And ultimately, I do believe that is why it has shot down in price so much. I think that they did a bad job with their game selection on the PlayStation Classic, and looking at the games that are on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, you guys have to let me know your thoughts on it. Because I have seen people that have been, kind of mixed on it. This is the list here, as you guys can see. There has been, a little bit of a twist up on everyone's thoughts on this, TurboGrafx 16 Mini PC engine. My thing is that, so this is the same exact cost. It is $100, right? I believe. This thing is, it's $100, right? Tony! Your article doesn't say. Tony. I think it's $100. So, is it worth that price? My thing is ultimately, let's say the PlayStation Classic came out at any price. What would your ideal price have been? I know that it's $20 now and you can buy it, but I think that it was worth it at $30. Or no, I think that it was worth it at $20, which is what it is now, but I think that if they had changed other games, at least 1 or 2 more, I think it would have been worth $30, and if they had changed all the games to amazing games, I could see it at $100. This is the same sort of situation. What is this sort of situation worth to you? What is this type of console worth to you? Yeah, it's $100. Tony. Your article didn't say it. Your article didn't say how much it was. I had to look it up. But yeah, is it worth $100? And that's the question you have to ask is it worth it to you? Because, fair, there was no price when I wrote the article? Oh. Wait, didn't you write this today? Oh, you wrote it yesterday? Tony, don't give me excuses. Better journalism here, friend, okay? Go back and edit it. I'm just kidding. It's a great article. But my question is this worth $100? I think that this lineup is not bad, that's for sure. I just feel like, is it worth $100? I don't think so. I think that this is worth possibly $50. I would say $50 to $60. I do see a lot of cool games on this that I do like, but if you already own, all these games or whatever, it doesn't have as much of an appeal to you. But like Drew just said in chat, considering how long emulators have been around, he would say no more than 30. That's a solid estimate. That is solid to think about. You have to think about supply and demand, which, yes, this is not going to be a product that they're saying that the TurboGrafx, is not going to be largely produced. It's going to be a bit smaller of a run, unlike the PlayStation Classic. you have to consider what else already exists for it, and you have to consider the market of emulators. Emulators are huge, and that's what they are trying to do. They are trying to make money from that emulator, group of people that emulate games, but still might pay a little bit for it. They're trying to feed on nostalgia still. Yeah, Bomberman 94 is legit cool. Bomberman 93. I saw Bomberman, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I feel like a lot of these are okay, but a lot of them just feel very mediocre. There are, a couple that carry over, but yeah. Frank, $3.50. What about I can only do $3.50. Yeah, right. How much are the other minis? How much are all of them? That's a good question here. Mini console here. Let me look it up in another tab. Like mini consoles 20. What should we type in 19? We have the Sega Genesis Mini, which is $80 currently at Best Buy. They're usually in like the $70 to $100 range, unless you get like a cheaper kind of rip off of it. You do have to consider though, so many companies are coming out with these type of things now. Look at this, $20 PlayStation Classic at this point. I think that is a great price. If you can open box $16.99 at this point, I'm probably going to go out and buy 2 of these at some point here. 1 to hack and fuck around with, and 1 to keep in the box, because why not? This was not worth $100 though. It was not. And the Turbo, 16 Mini, is it worth it to you? And that's a question that a lot of people have to answer. To me, it's not worth $100. Because I do not think that I think that the game lineup's okay. I do not think that it is out of this park. I still can't believe Konami owns all of Hudson Soft. I know. I was shocked. I didn't know that until slightly recently. A bit ago. No Castle, yeah, no. NES Classic is 60, SNES Classic is 80, Mega Drive Mini is 80. That's the thing. How much can you buy these consoles for? Online, you can buy. How much can you buy these consoles for in places like Amazon, eBay, refurbished, not refurbished? You could buy the real console. Now, I do get that the push of the Mini is the games, and that is why I am so strict on talking about it. Because if the games are bad, then there's no point to buy it. You could go and buy the same exact console, the real version of the console, for, cheaper, but you'd be paying for the games. The whole point of the minis are the games, and if you think the games are bad, then what's the point to get it? I am someone that is not in love with this mini phase and these reproduction phases. I personally own many original consoles. I have collected original consoles, for many years. I have been a very heavy collector of it, and I would still say go out and purchase the original. I know that this product is targeted, towards, I want to say, my generation and also the generation of nostalgia. It's generation at two, it's targeted at 2 very different generations. But for me, which is in their targeted, range, I do not see this being anything. And even to people that have nostalgia like this and maybe want to play these games with their kids, I wouldn't want them to go out and spend $100 on this. When this goes down to $50, it's worth it. Vera, Run of the Blood is on it. Oh, right. The PC Engine list. Yeah, I should scroll down. So you guys can see it. Is it really worth it? Bear, it's actually targeted at hipster collectors. It's targeted at, I would say, my age range. You know, I would say it's targeted at the age range to like 18 to 25 because of how impactful, you know, like 80s and 90s and 70s nostalgia has been lately with all these movie remakes and everything and all these TV show remakes. I would say it's targeted at that, and then I would say it's targeted at people that were growing up with these consoles. You know, they expect these people to buy these to play with their kids now, which, yes, is a great experience, but I just do not... I feel like unless you really do not care about tech that is out there and looking for original technology and the original hardware, I just do not... I would just say collect the original hardware. Remember VHS tapes? Pepperidge Farm remembers, of course. You know, VHS tapes were the best. I do not like the fact that the 26 PC engines are not being translated. That's also another thing. If you do not want to deal with non-translations, these games, junk. These games are the only ones that you would be interested in. But if you care about translations, junk. There's also that too. I can't wait for my Atari VCS. I bought 4 of them. No, you didn't, Grim. Grim, you're not that stupid. Let's talk about Kickstarters. Has there been anything new with the Atari VCS lately? Also, do you guys like this hardware discussion and this tech discussion? I usually don't talk too much about it on the channel, but I do collect, and I do in my everyday life have a lot of technology that you guys do not see, but I've showed some of it off before. I've shown my Vectrex off before and stuff. Stuff like that. I want a ColecoVision Mini. Why do you want a Mini? Why do you want a Mini? They have a launch date, but is it real? Exactly. Yeah, you can even... I don't know. I feel like people are buying into silly things that they do not know any information about. We know very little about what these things are going to do, what games are going to be on these pieces of technology. Vera, you know Adblock is a thing, right? Carl, I said this at the beginning, but hi Carl, how you doing? I know that you've been here. For articles that I do like and I do support, I do leave ads on. If it was an article that I did not, support or that I did not appreciate, I would, use an archived link to it. I use RetroArch. I got a full-size ColecoVision, but it doesn't work well. Well, then get yourself a new one. I always spell ColecoVision wrong. I mean, you could get one in a box for $3.30 on eBay. That's not bad. It's not bad. Not too shabby. I would take it. You also have to think of when you are collecting, we'll call it retro tech, because that's what people call it. If you are collecting older, pieces of hardware, you have to consider, you can just collect the tech, the older hardware, and make money off of it in the future if you really sit on it. But you have to keep it, you have to keep it safe. You have to check it all the time. It has to be in right temperatures. It could be an investment, but, on the other hand, older technology does, eventually go bad, and eventually it will all go bad. But you do have to consider that type of stuff. Things like remake consoles, mini consoles. It's a phase. This phase will be over in a year or two. No one will be making these consoles again, but yet they're never going to have an investment value to them. Or maybe in 20 years when there's none of them left, maybe then. But right now, these things have no value, and they probably will not have value for a very, very, very long time. ColecoVisions are tough. Most of them are bad now. Yeah, that's also, you have to consider the controllers are shit. You do have to consider that, though. But it's all things to keep in mind. I do understand that this is aimed towards not a collector and someone, you know, that's just an average person trying to, you know, just play games, but they could easily emulate games. I do think that it is very cool for a specific type of audience. I think that this is awesome for, you know, maybe, like, I don't want to say kids, but younger teenagers. I think that this is awesome. If they are interested in this type of technology, you get them consoles like this, they can explore them, they could fuck around with them, and even if they break them, it's not like it is the original, where you're giving them a $500 piece of hardware that they could mess up, that you have to be very delicate with. I think that it is cool for an intro to this type of technology. I think that is awesome. But is it really worth it for anyone more than that? I'm not sure. I would say no. I would say no. I would say no. One thing that we could talk about, is the Nintendo Switch Lite. Because we're already on the topic of technology, if you guys are interested, we could talk about the Nintendo Switch Lite. I don't know if anyone, I don't know an article to go to, so I'm just Googling it. Sure, I'm sure there was one put up on One Angry Gamer. Maybe not. Okay, here we go. I just wanted it for the background. How light is the new Switch? It's much smaller, actually. It is smaller. I'm just going to, you know, put the... Go away. I'm just going to put the image up. I would never, ever tell anyone to buy the Switch Lite unless they are buying it for a younger adult that maybe is not respectful to their hardware, or yeah. I was originally very, very excited for the mini idea, or even the pro idea, but specifically the mini idea, since that's what we're talking about. I was very excited for the mini, or the light idea of a Nintendo Switch, because I thought that they would be adding more things to it. Now, I do understand that they could not add the joysticks in. They could not add in the motion control and everything in the rumble. It's a fucking Switch that doesn't switch, by the way, which is utterly stupid. But I was expecting them to do so much more with it. I think that they should have added a better battery to this. That is the one thing that I was extremely disappointed with, was that they did not change the battery. The battery in this thing is the same. I think that this would have been cool if they had added a battery that maybe could even do an hour longer, or 2 hours longer. The normal Switch lasts, what, three and a half hours, about? Another thing that it does not do is it does not go to the TV. The problem with that is that it's not that it does not dock and that it does not go to the TV. It's the fact that it does not have an input, so you cannot stream with it. If you wanted to stream or record your gameplay, obviously most of those people already have a normal Switch, but it's still that accessibility of being able to do that if you wanted to do that, and you cannot do that. It does not have enough of a grab. It does not. I think that the D-pad is neat. Don't get me wrong. But yes, exactly, Toast. Upgraded battery would have benefited what it was worth greatly. And I do think that $200 is not awful, but I would highly recommend you just go and buy a normal Switch. Save that extra $100 because that extra $100 is 100% worth it. The normal Switch, you can take the Joy-Cons off you. It has rumble. You can plug it into your TV. You can dock it. It's got the same battery life. I just think that this thing should have been a little bit better. I just think so. I do think that this will still sell well, and that is for one specific reason, and that is that they are releasing this model this year, when there's no other competition. Who are they competing with? Maybe the Atari fucking VCS, if that ever comes out? Like, they picked a good window because next year is when all of the large consoles are coming out. And maybe even next year we will see a Nintendo Switch Pro come out at the same time to compete with the other consoles. But I do think that it was very smart and it will sell because it is coming out this year when there is no competition. Also, I do think that this will sell well because they made these colors really awful because they knew that they wanted to make Pokemon exclusive bundles. Because Sword and Shield is coming out at the end of the year, this comes out 2 months before Sword and Shield, they will most definitely have probably 2 models of the Nintendo Switch Lite and one of the normal Nintendo Switch bundles to be sold on release of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Most likely they will do that, and that would be a smart idea. I'm not saying that that's a dumb idea. That is, yes, it is a very calculated release strategy because they knew they had to market Switches with Pokemon, so they could market, maybe one normal Nintendo Switch console and then 2 Lite versions for the launch of Pokemon. And I think that that is very fun. I think that it is a smart idea and very solid on the spot of Nintendo. I've mentioned this a lot of times. I 100% believe in Nintendo. Nintendo used to be very censorship heavy, and they have not been very censorship heavy as of lately. As of the past year and a half, they have done a solid and a grand. They've done grand. They have done perfect. Chef's kiss. They have done amazing with their very light to almost no censorship. That is why I support Nintendo. I think that Nintendo's got it going for them. And I think that, yes, this Lite is disappointing. I, as someone that owns a Nintendo Switch, would not buy a Nintendo Switch Lite. But if it had had a better battery and more features, maybe down the line when it was reduced in price, I might have bought one. I'm someone that owns all of the Nintendo DS systems because I would, even though they were not very different from each other, I would always kind of wait until the newest model came out and it went down in price. And I was always cool with doing that because I supported, Nintendo, I supported the console. But this, even if this went down to, say, $100, I still would not purchase it because there's no point. Even the 2DS, yes. I have 2 2DSs, I have 2 3DSs. I have like 4 or 5 of the other DSs. I feel like there's not enough of a grab to anyone, even if you own a Switch or not. Spend the extra $100 and purchase a normal Switch. So it's like a Super Game Boy to play your Pokemons on. I don't think overall it was bad. I think that it's okay because they knew the marketing strategy that they wanted to go for, and good for them. They did it. They aligned it with Pokemon. They have aligned it with no other consoles coming out. Good for them. Good for them. How do you feel about VR gaming? I think that it's cool. I just think it is a fad, though. Now, I know that it's been around for a couple of years, but I just feel as though it's too advanced for people right now. I feel like people are not as interested in it now as they will be in 5 years. I feel like companies started putting it out so that by the time people may be interested in it, you have all this time to sit on it. But there are versions of it, and the technology for VR to be cheaper by the time people want it, so no one's going to complain that they can't afford it. I'm too blind for VR. Well, there is also that to consider, is people, can't, not everyone can use it. PSVR did pretty well, not great, but it did sell. It did sell, but you're right, it did not do great. I know that did they say that? I think that they said that they wanted to put a focus on VR for the next generation, but I'm not sure. I thought that they did. So yeah, if there's anything else you guys would like me to talk about, we can discuss it. I'm not sure what else to talk about. Those were kind of the articles and the ideas that I had, but if you guys have any other ideas, I'm totally down for them. I really hope VR doesn't collapse anytime soon. I still want to try it. I do not think that it is going to collapse anytime soon. I mean, you still have, you can always do it on PC. You can do it on PC. I do not think that VR is going away anytime soon. I thought that they said that they were, trying to implement it more into the next generation, but I'm not sure. Minecraft AR looks neat. Minecraft AR does look pretty neat. I'm skeptical about it, but I am slightly interested in it. I'm excited for Minecraft Dungeons. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Don't hate me. I'm excited for Minecraft Dungeons. I think that looks so cool and so neat. It's Diablo Minecraft. Who isn't excited for that? Is it just me? Okay. I'm totally playing that at release though, probably. I'm excited for it. What do you think of the Intellivision Amico? Kind of the same way that I feel about the Atari VCS. I don't want to call them gimmicks. I want to call them people trying to sell a product that only specific people will buy, and those specific people are people with nostalgia or hipsters. I don't think that I do like the ideas of them. I do not hate the ideas of them. I just think that most of them are pretty lame. I don't know. I just feel like they've been so non-informative about what games they're going to have, what they're going to do, the information about them. They look like cool boxes. They look cool. But other than that, they really haven't, there's not enough substance there. Mine Diablo? I mean, that's what it is. It's practically Minecraft Diablo. Right? Right? Waifu AR1? Soon. Well, they're like, adult themed, VR games and whatnot. I mean, there are. Followed closely by Skyrim VR. Oh, Skyrim. Every day, I feel less and less optimistic about the next Elder Scrolls game. I'm just going to say it. I think, and this is just me thinking, the Amico will do better than the Atari VCS. I could see that. I think the difference between them is the marketing that they've gone for. I think the marketing on them is slightly similar, but very different in a lot of ways. I heard waifu. What now? We were just talking about waifu, AR, VR, stuff like that. The big problem with VR right now is all the wires. Yeah, that is a very, very big problem with them. Hello, Lance. How are you doing? I hope you're having a very good night. VR chat is basically that. Fair enough. Skyrim VR would be cool if they fixed the damn bugs and added some type of mod support. Yeah, that is a problem, is, they would need to add a lot to it for it to be decent. I personally think that VR, is cool. I do really like it. But I feel like the problems with them are things like wires, battery life, the problem that not everyone can play it, surely because people have, heart problems, physical problems, eye problems. There's it cuts back such a large percent of people. Motion sickness, it cuts back for a lot of people. I just want Baldur's Gate 3. It's gonna be sweet. Sorry, I got very excited there. Better than Elder Scrolls 6. I have been excited for a new Elder Scrolls for forever, but I agree with your skepticism, Vera. I just feel like Bethesda has been really throwing everyone under the bus. Their customers. Even Todd Howard said, even though, you know, Fallout 76 didn't turn out well, we knew that it was going to launch like that because they knew that it had problems. Why are they not worried about fixing those problems before they release it? They could have easily pushed back the game by another 2 or 3 months. They could have. Yes, they would have had some people pissed at them, but it would have been better than having a game that was dead a month after release. 100%. 100%. Baldur's Gate 3, I loved Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be awesome. I'm not sure. I think that companies need to get their shit together before they release more games, before they create more games. I'm glad that you are excited for it, Joey. When I give my opinions on things, like games and whatnot, you know, censorship, I don't want to turn anyone off from a game that they're excited for or a project that they're excited for. That is 100% not my intention. I just want to bring more, bring more attention to problems that maybe if we voice our opinions on them, companies will change things. And ultimately, I do hope that something like, Elder Scrolls 6 will be a hit. I do hope that it is not broken like Skyrim was at launch. I do hope that it is a fan-fucking-tastic game. They've spent so much time on this game. I do hope that it is good. Sony will now make PlayStation Vita 2 censored in addition to compete with the Switch. PlayStation Vita 2 censored edition? What? I don't care so much. That's the one I played and I loved it so much. Oh, right. Yeah, the most of the Baldur's Gate games are coming out, for the newer consoles, PlayStation 4, Xbox, and also Nintendo Switch in September. Actually, November. It's November, I believe. No, September for some of them, and then November for... Right, I got it mixed up. There are 2 sets of them coming out. I hope Starfield will not be broken. I hope that it won't be broken either. I'm slightly excited for Starfield still. Just so you guys know, I'm probably going to wrap up a stream in about 10 minutes or so. But if there's anything else that you guys want me to talk about or discuss, now is the time to let me know if you have any topics. Elder Scrolls 6 will probably suck, so I'm trying to not get my hopes up. Understandable. I think Starfield will be the barometer for whether or not the Elder Scrolls 6 might suck. I'm not necessarily sure. I think that Starfield does have a lot lying on it. I do think that people do have high hopes for Starfield, but I do think inevitably they will put more work into the Elder Scrolls 6, more into the Elder Scrolls 6 than Starfield. Not too much other gaming news I can think of, to be honest. Yeah, I just figured we could, chat. I haven't done too many talk streams on the channel, but I'm thinking of doing a talk stream at least once a week if you guys are interested in that. Maybe, Monday nights could be our talk stream night if you guys are interested in that, because there are always topics that I want to talk about on stream, but I hadn't done talk streams a ton before, mainly because I play video games during my streams, and that is a huge aspect of the channel. But I do like to talk about things because I don't make videos on every little topic. It just gives us a little bit more room for, the tech discussions that I normally don't have on the channel, and things like that. Everyone get ready for the 10K celebration. It's coming. We are almost at 10,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Also, for everyone that is here, if you guys are not already, consider supporting the channel via Patreon. I am not monetized by YouTube, so I make no money off of the channel. So yeah, consider supporting on Patreon. Let some news pile up, then we can discuss them on here. Sounds neato. Yeah, I figured maybe like a once a week talk stream, maybe 2 if I feel like adding an extra day into the stream mix, but I figured maybe once a week we could talk about, you know, topics, because that gives you guys more room. See, I talk about anything in the video game realm, but I usually don't make videos on specific topics like the tech, you know, like the Alinity thing, even though they are issues that I would like to talk about. So yeah, it would be cool. Hey Kyoji, how you doing? We are at the slight end of the stream. I'll probably be on for about 10 or 15 minutes more, but I hope that you are doing well. I hope that your night is going very well. For everyone, if you have not watched the Netflix show from Germany, Dark, do it. Yeah, Dark is the best show on Netflix. It is amazing. Thoughts on Teppen, the Capcom mobile card game? I think it's cool. Don't forget to drop links to the articles you plan on reading in your description. I mean, if anyone wants the articles, I can always put them in chat. I think that the Teppen card game is neat, and I do think that it is cool. But I think that it's just kind of another cash grab card game. Every IP right now is trying to grab in and cash in on freaking card games, and I think that it's stupid. She needs like a gazillion followers before YouTube will monetize her. I mean, I wouldn't even be making that much off of it. Well, tired, should be asleep. Well, thank you for stopping by, Kyoji. I super appreciate it. I appreciate everyone that has been here tonight. I do. I will throw in the donation link one more time and the Patreon link and sit around for a few more minutes. Yeah. I hope that you guys do kind of enjoy the talk streams, though. I do want to do them occasionally, maybe once a week. I find that community is very important to a channel, but not only just a channel, but to me in general. That is why I stream. You know, most people stream for, you know, X, Y, and Z reasons. If people are streamers full-time, I'm obviously not a full-time streamer, but I do like to stream on occasion, in addition to the videos that I make. Frank, pay close attention. That show is a ride. I have not watched many shows that have blown me away the way that Dark has. Dark is such a freaking amazing show. I think that it is insane. I think that it is insane.
Sony will make the PS Vita 2 Censor Everything edition to compete with the Switch.
Thank you for the $10 donation, Lance. I very much so appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to make a PlayStation Vita 2. PlayStation Vita, is that how you call it? A PlayStation Vita censored? 2 censored. Yeah, PS Vita 2 censored. I think that they'd make, I don't know. Maybe they could do that. I don't know. I feel like PS Vita, you know, they'd want to go with something new, something fresh. I'm on like episode 6 of Dark. It is such a good show. I might watch that Chernobyl mini doc. That Chernobyl mini documentary is very, very solid. It's really, really good. It is really, really good. I do enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I have rewatched it, and I'm considering watching it a 3rd time because I liked it so much. I thought that it was a decent amount between a dramatized event, but also, you know, telling facts. Dark, also, best show I've ever watched. I just started Legion. I'll add Dark to my watch list. I never got through Legion. Not gonna lie, the talk stream was really good. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed. I think Sony needs a Vita for Japan and other markets because Japan doesn't care about home consoles anymore unless they're hybrids like the Switch. That also is a very true point. You know, we have to consider other markets and, you know, larger markets like the Japan market, they are not into home consoles. I mean, they're more into PC and whatnot, but I do also think that that is a very, very good point to make when we are talking about different products, different markets, different products. It's like the Jordan situation that I talked about today. You know, different markets, different places, different interests. How about Nintendo and Sony have gone to Microsoft so they can use Xbox Live and xCloud to go against Google Stadia? I'm not convinced with the Google Stadia, guys. I think that it's a scam. I do not see it working. I do not see it working. I agree. I think that xCloud will go against Google Stadia, and I do think that it would succeed. Yeah, I think that I'm not saying that Microsoft is a superior company to Google. Complicated situation there. I do think in the terms in the realm of gaming, Microsoft knows so much more than Google in just the Stadia team in general. I think that Microsoft will blow Google Stadia out of the park. I do not think Google Stadia is going to go very far either, Daryl. There is still a market for it. You know, people that do not want to have to pay for hardware, which is understandable. There are people that live in, you know, smaller apartments or smaller places, maybe with kids, that they do not want the clutter that a collector goes through with games and consoles. There is that market, and I do think that for a casual market, yes, the Stadia will do good, but I'm just not convinced that it will do good past that. Is the Ouya still a thing? Is the Ouya still a thing? After doing the math on Stadia bandwidth, nah. Well, that's also the thing, is that even though you are paying an exorbitantly less price because you do not have to buy a console and the games and all this, yeah, even though you have to buy the games for $60, which is, oh my god, disgusting. You have to consider, how much will your internet bill go up? Probably a lot. Yeah, probably a lot. You need so much internet power. You need, oh, it's awful. It's not worth it. Stadia is done on arrival price too high, and you still have to buy the games at full price. That's my thing. I think that the grab of the Stadia would have worked if they priced games at half price. They were so cocky when they were talking about the prices of Stadia games. They even said Stadia games should be priced higher because of the flexibility you have of playing them on, you know, your phone, your TV, your computer. So cocky. Oh my, so freaking cocky. That is disgusting and awful, and I do not want to support companies and developers like that, but ultimately I will not be purchasing a Google Stadia. If anyone is in the chat going to purchase the Google Stadia, speak now, forever hold your peace. I hope that none of you say yes, but yeah, the Ouya didn't sell. The Ouya flopped. The Ouya just nothing. I do in a way think that the Google Stadia has more of a grab for a market compared to the Intellivision Amico and the, you know, what's the other one called? The Intellivision Amico and the, what's the other one that we talked about? Oh my gosh, why am I blanking? The Intellivision Amico and the Atari VCS. So sorry, I blanked. I think that it does have more of a grab than those, and those have a grab to a specific type of audience. Yeah, the Atari. I blanked on it. You guys knew which I was talking about, though. Stadia is a hard skip for me, plus it's Google, and they are messing up YouTube. They'll probably mess up Stadia, too. I mean, it's different, you know, divisions of the company. You know, so there is that. Stadia will sell the Atari and the Amiga, but they will, yes, I'm sure that they will all sell, but I'm sure it's going to be the same type of people that buy it. I think that they're going to fail. But alright, you guys, I think I am going to end stream in just a moment. I do appreciate you all being here tonight. It has been a fantastic stream. I think that next week I will do a talk. I think I'm going to do once a week talk stream. Maybe that'll be Monday nights if you guys like Monday nights. But I will be doing video games again on Thursday and Saturday like I usually do. Also, on Wednesday we will be doing a Titans table at 7 p.m. Eastern. We do have a lot of things to talk about. We do have, some Magic the Gathering stuff to talk about. I had fun, no lie. Good, I am very glad. I will do a talk stream once a week. If Mondays works for you guys and Monday is a good night, then we will plan it for Monday nights. Or we could test maybe a Thursday night. I'm not sure. We could test it. But I do want to do talk streams. I do like just to get your opinions on things, just chatting about things, It's a good idea. It's more chat focused, but even when I play video games, it's very chat focused. Titan's Table will be Magic the Gathering, everyone, yes. Titan's Table for this week will be Magic the Gathering related. I am considering doing a video game version of Titan's Table. Maybe on our talk stream on Mondays we could bring in some other people, maybe some other content creators, people like Grim, and we could do more of a video game Titan's Table. Or we could plan that for, a weekend or something. But, yeah, I appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you so much for the donations tonight, you guys. I really appreciate them. If you guys are not already, consider becoming a Patreon. I have tiers for just $1 a month, and, I have higher tiers if you want to support that do have rewards. You do get access to the Patreon chat and Discord and whatnot. Thank you so much, Grizzly, for the $15 donation, and thank you, Lance, for the $10 donation. I appreciate all of the donations. But yeah, I will see you guys on Wednesday. I will be in Discord if you guys want to chat for the rest of the night. Thank you guys so much for hanging out the past couple of hours. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys again in the next stream really soon.